Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's me, your host, Joe Slepsky, and I'm back this week with a very good friend of mine, a longtime friend. He's a very talented man. He can do everything. If someone were to ask me, what's that Alex guy like? Like, what can he do? My response to them would be, what can't he do? Alex Kendig is a writer, very funny writer.
Thank you.
He's a producer. He's produced TV stuff. Yeah, he produced TV stuff. He's a very funny stand-up comic.
Thank you.
And he is also a hockey play-by-play man.
Random,
Completely
Totally
random. And he runs a very funny podcast. If I will put the guilt trip on you, if it doesn't come out often enough, your podcast comes out less than Dana Gould's podcast, and that's saying something.
That is.
It really is.
Yeah.
The podcast is called Conspiracy Bunker, and he is Mr. Alex Kendig. Alex, welcome to Joe on Joe.
I'm so glad to finally be on the show. So thanks for having me.
Dude, it's great. All the things I said about you are very true. So we first met as you were taking comedy classes over at Second City.
Yeah.
But by that point, you had already been a successful stand-up in the Nashville, right?
Yeah, I started in Nashville.
Yeah.
At that point, I was going everywhere.
Yeah.
I was like a middle act, like the feature act, which is like the 30-minute person before the headliner.
Uh-huh.
Before the person you're there to see. That was
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
And then you decided to take some classes in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's where our paths crossed.
Yeah.
I fell in love with you.
Yeah, same here.
We started working together on a superhero sketch show that we used to do called Mid-Grade Comics.
Yeah.
You were my Tony Stark. You'll always be my Tony Stark.
yeah.
And you're also my Peter Parker,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
which is great.
Oh, yeah, Peter Parker.
Oh,
my gosh.
Oh, Aunt May.
I'm Spider-Man.
And you were just always a delight to work with. You bring such great energy to it. And so then we come out to LA, and then you guys come out to LA. You and your wife Ellie, and you bring a beautiful dog Georgia.
Yeah.
And out here,
We stayed in your floor by a month.
Yeah, that's right,
a
you
month.
did.
Like
Yeah, you
don't
stayed with us.
gloss over that.
No.
Like that was like a big.
It
we
was-
were in your floor for a month.
It was great. Well, okay, when you say floor, it makes it sound like we were in a gulag.
No, we had
actually
great.
had a
Yeah,
we
it
had
was
an
a great
inflatable
mattress.
ref for you.
Yeah, it was great. No, I mean it was super comfortable. It's fine.
Yeah, no,
but-
you guys were great.
Yeah.
You're
So
very
were you
good
guys.
friends, and it's about time that we have you on the show. So you've done some writing for some shows out here. You've worked in some writing. You worked on something with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I've worked with Tom Hanks twice.
Wow, what is
Now-
that all about?
All right, listen. Like, because there's a lot of stuff going around in Hollywood, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff about like people, and we're finding out more and more stuff about behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. Did Tom Hanks touch you?
Here's the thing. Yes, but everything that they say about Tom Hanks that's been going around, 100% true.
Really?
He is the greatest man on the face of the planet, and he touched my heart multiple times. The first time I was working with him is when I got, because if you want to be a writer in Hollywood, the best route is to be like a writer's assistant. So
Yeah.
I was still hustling to get a writer's assistant gig. I got the writer's assistant gig while I was PAing with Tom Hanks, and this was like a big milestone moment. Like this was like I was like almost like crying excited, and like my whole family was going to be excited and everything. The first person to congratulate me and knew how big of a deal it was Tom Hanks.
Whoa.
And yeah, and I saw him a couple days later, and then I worked with him on another project a couple days later. He like remembers who you are. He's so like, it was great.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. What were the projects?
So the project was, one of them was a live special for making schools better. So it's just another star-studded night. We were on all the networks. We were on like ABC,
Oh, okay.
CBS, Fox, and stuff like that. And it was cool, actually, even though I was a writer's assistant, got to write a lot for that.
Sweet.
And then the next one with Tom was I called him Tom. Jr.
Tom. You just called him Tom.
We
The
did
next move up is Hanks.
Oh,
Hanksy.
yeah, Hanksy.
Hanksy.
Yeah.
Next one with Hanksy.
I can't do that yet.
No, not yet. You're not there yet.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
up
yeah.
there yet, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
get
Hanksy
there.
invited me to the set of The Post.
Yeah, no, I would have done that. I would have told him how to stand with his hands on his
Yeah,
hips, wearing
yeah.
suspenders. That was a whole movie for
Would
him.
have said
By the
Steven.
way. Yeah,
Steve?
Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Tell Hanksy I got to have a word with him about
Steve.
his performance.
Hey, Spiels,
Hey,
get on over here.
hey Spielbergo. That's right.
He, the other one was the hurricane benefit. It was called
yeah.
Hand in Hand, but it was like a live. Basically, they don't want to say it was a telethon, but it was like a fundraiser benefit for
Yeah.
all the Hurricane Harvey, and the other one that it was like hitting that day in Florida. I forget the name of it, but it was
There was a
happening
few
that
of
day.
them.
Yeah.
Irma. I think Irma was
Yeah.
Florida. It was Irma. Harvey, I think,
Yeah.
was the one that hit Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, now it was surreal. That was
It
like
was
going to
crazy.
Planet Hollywood, but like everybody was actually there. It was like
Really?
all the stars, like, and part of being a writer is like they all read off teleprompter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So part of before the show is every single person that's going to be talking on camera comes into a room that looks like a karaoke booth. They have their teleprompter and the mic, and the writer and usually the assistant will sit there too and just have them read so they know what they're going to say. So it was just one star after another coming in there. Like Billy Crystal was coming in there. P. Diddy changed shirts in front of me.
What?
Like right next to my
P.
face.
Diddy's nipples?
No, I tried. All right, that's the thing is like I wanted to look so bad because it was right next to my face. I was sitting and he was standing right next to me.
Yeah.
And he takes his shirt off. He was wearing like a crushed velvet polo. It's hot. That's gonna be hot. And like, so I'm sitting there watching the monitor, and it's like so much self-discipline to not just look because I mean the dude's I forget how old he is, but I think he's inching up on 50.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if he was still ripped, and I couldn't look because I didn't want to take like a P. Diddy backhand.
No.
And at my level, it's like one little slip up, and I'm done forever.
Fire that guy. He looked at P. Diddy's nipples.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And that would be the
Well,
P.
good.
Diddy
I
nipple
appreciate.
guy.
I appreciate the. I appreciate and admire the self-control, the restraint.
Part of being in the business.
Yeah, being in business, kid.
Yeah.
You know, to look over, you take a peep at P. Diddy's wang.
Yeah, it was
That'll
there.
get you in trouble.
Oh, I could count the veins on 4 hands.
There I was at the studio steak joint,
P. Diddy Python.
hanging out in the urinal, watching star after star, and I couldn't look
I couldn't look.
because I liked my job.
And I respect the business. You got to respect the business. You got to respect the wangs of the powerful.
Milton Berle walked in, and that's the day I lost my job.
Yep.
I
was it.
couldn't not look at Uncle Milty.
I said, sweet cigar.
I said, hey, where am I supposed to not look? You tell me. And they said, tell it hiking, kid. And that's how I lost my job.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Worth every minute.
Worth every inch of it. So as long as we're doing voices, let's talk about one of my favorite things in life is your podcast called Conspiracy Bunker.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you produce this podcast with a gentleman by the name of Alex Anders.
Yeah, Alexander. And,
Yeah. Is it Ander or Anders?
There's no S.
Oh,
which
S.
is, it's
Alex
easy to add.
Ander.
It's easy to add on the S because Anders is like a Swedish first name.
Yeah, right.
But this one's just Alexander.
Okay, so and he's a bit of a conspiracy nut.
Yes.
And you must have crossed paths with him at some point, and he's said he was looking for a podcast producer.
So this guy, he was like a weather guy in Asheville, North Carolina, and like his Doppler station went down. He went up there to inspect it because you have to do everything at a smaller news station. He ended up getting abducted by aliens. He tried to tell people on the air.
Off the Doppler radar.
Got taken off the air, kidnapped by these government agents, like manages to escape. He lives in a bunker in the middle of nowhere now. So I help him out with this. The episodes, like you said, they come out very sporadically. But they usually take on a single thing. And I'm well aware that the concept of this show, The Conspiracy Bunker, is very similar to a show on Comedy Central that comes on after The Daily Show.
Oh, really?
But this show has existed longer.
Yeah.
But basically,
I'm not familiar with that.
It's called
show.
The Opposition with Jordan Klepper.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. But Conspiracy Bunker, I'm here to attest, that's been out for years.
Yeah, since 2014.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think about.
But
it's
with
been that long.
with your so I'll bust your chops and say, with your high work ethic, it's only been 4 episodes.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of work.
No, it is a lot of work.
Because the concept for people that don't know, which is everybody, the concept is we're taking real news stories and real sound bites from real news stories, and then and they could be completely unrelated news stories, but they all get linked together into this one big underground conspiracy. So we're linking all these news stories to make them make sense because it's all part of this bigger thing, whether it's the deep state that's behind it or the Illuminati or whatever.
Yeah.
So we've had episodes about like Trump, which this is a believable thing, especially if you listen to it. The most recent episode, depending on when you watch it, the most recent episode as of April 2018.
Most recent episode, which was published in 2015.
Yes. It was last year.
There was one last year. Yeah.
But it was about how Trump won the election, his collusion with Russia, which they still haven't released.
Yeah,
Maybe this is
right.
why.
Yeah.
His collusion with Russia was Trump spent a lot of money to obtain a portal to an alternate dimension.
Got it.
So that's where alt facts come from. Alternate facts, alternative universe. Alt-right is actually an invading force from the alternative universe because the Russians, everything is up for grabs if you want to pay for it. Lance Bass paid millions of dollars to become a cosmonaut. So you can imagine if you have billions like Trump, you can buy just about anything.
It's very true.
So it's all proven in that podcast.
Yeah, and Alex Ander really kind of weaves it all together. And Alex Kendig, you do honestly fantastic job producing
you.
it because what I absolutely understand why it takes a long time to do it because it is it's a lot of it's a soundscape.
Yeah.
Is the best way to describe
Yes.
it. Your podcast is a soundscape. My podcast is two jamokes in front of a microphone and a cartoon.
Which I wish I would have done at the beginning.
Well, yours is it's wonderful. Yours is absolutely when you hear it, you'll say to yourself, wait, one guy did all that? Yours is the kind of thing where there's a team of people. You know, like at the end, it's like welcome to the mystery show. The what's the spooky town?
Oh, Night Vale.
Podcast? Night Vale.
Yeah.
It's like Night Vale.
Yeah.
It really is like Night Vale. It's produced like Night Vale, where there's all these ambient stuff and there's all this background stuff.
Yeah.
They have a team of people doing it.
Yeah.
You saw that and said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, pretty much. I had no idea what I was getting into. And actually, the last episode, I tracked the amount of hours that I worked on it.
Yeah.
And it was close. It was basically a full work week with overtime.
Sure.
It was about 40 to 50 hours of and that's the thing. And I want it to be good. So when you listen to it,
really
like I want
good.
it to be worth your 30, 40 minutes. But it's very soundbite heavy. It's a lot of that. So it's not just talking. It's not just ranting. It's not just fake bad attempts at jokes. I want it to rest on the sound bites and the news clips, and at least it does that.
It does,
So,
yeah. I mean, it's like most shows would have a team of interns, rounding up all these sound bites.
Yeah.
And you have a team of you.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. The
it's
Daily Show, they
so
have
funny.
they have multiple people around the clock watching news and
Yeah.
clipping stuff. I just do it on my own, and luckily I'm a news junkie, so I know I think somebody said something once about a thing, and then I'll just go back and find it. And,
It's great.
Oh, yeah,
Great. It's
a lot of
really
work,
great.
but it's
So,
a good time.
Yeah, and actually, Mr. Ander hasn't asked me to be on that show soon. I think.
Really?
I think so. I think I'm
Do you
supposed
know
to be
how that
recording
happened?
some of that. I don't know.
All right, they're not going to tell you when you're going to be on the show.
Oh,
It's literally you were going to be walking out of the grocery store, and a van is going to pull up. And
Oh.
that's it. That's legit. Like, that
okay.
is-
I didn't know that.
yeah, that
I
is
didn't know
for
that.
real. Like
Okay.
that is how I come in for writers' meetings.
Well, I look forward to that
Yes.
day.
Yes.
A good abduction really wakes you up. How's your father?
I was about to say it does kind of because like whatever it is they use to transport you, like it's the best sleep I've ever gotten. It's really great. So look forward to that.
Give you some of Michael Jackson's Jesus juice or
Yeah,
what was
oh my
the gas,
gosh.
the gas he used to go to sleep with.
It was just anesthesia, though.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just flat out like it's the stuff they put.
Propofol.
Yeah, okay,
Propofol,
that
yeah.
was it. Okay, so
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
anesthesia, but it was basically the stuff they like used to
Yeah.
put not like they used to put like elephants under for surgery. Like is what it was, which is sad.
So go to it's on iTunes, right?
Yeah, it's on iTunes. It's
on
the
anywhere
Conspiracy Bunker.
Yeah, the Conspiracy Bunker. It's got a great like lasery,
Yeah.
80s-y kind
Yes.
of logo going on. It's a good looking thing. And check out the past issues. Keep an eye out for whenever the next one drops. Whenever I get abducted, apparently.
Yeah, and it's not a big time commitment, folks. You don't have to.
No,
binge this.
no,
There's
it's a
not many
super-
episodes.
yeah,
and
it's
it's like
super
I try
fun.
and keep it about 30 to 40.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah.
And then find Alex on Twitter and Instagram at Alex Kendig, Kendig. Go to alexkendig.com and you check out his comedy. You do a bunch of stand-up. You have stand-up videos on
Yeah,
your
I
website.
got stand-up
and stuff.
videos. I have a work portfolio.
Work
that's on there as
portfolio.
well.
Ooh.
And,
Do you have a picture of you and Hanksy?
no pictures.
No pictures. Good.
pictures.
No
Yeah.
pictures. No
I don't
pictures
like
with
that.
Hanksy.
I'm never a pictures guy.
I'm not a pictures guy
don't
either.
like to do
There's
it.
like two people I've grabbed pictures with.
Yeah.
Like Benicio del Toro. Not
Okay.
Benicio del Toro. Guillermo del Toro.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I saw him at a
that's it,
screening.
yeah.
A little bit of a difference.
Yeah, a
both
little bit.
both Del Toros. Though.
Yes.
Yeah. Guillermo del Toro, I met, and this
Yeah.
is a few years ago, and I'm so enchanted by all of his stuff, and
Yeah.
I was like, please,
Yeah.
yeah. And then John Landis
Yeah.
came
Oh,
into
okay.
the comic
Nice.
shop a few
Nice.
months back, and I was like, you did Blues Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of
I mean,
stuff.
yeah, you did everything.
And
but
even
I'm
if
like,
he didn't direct it, he had his hand in
yeah,
a lot
as a
of stuff.
Chicago kid, you did Blues
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yeah.
That was on
yeah,
WGN every Sunday morning.
Oh, my God.
That I watched for my entire life.
Oh, wow.
Can we
Yeah,
please get it photoed? And he was so great.
And I know you've got Stan Lee, but that's from like back in the day.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
from
Yeah, that was-
before you develop your work.
And frankly, that was the Stan Lee pictures were. It was a friend took them.
yeah, it was like
I
a
didn't pose
candid,
for 'em.
like
I
you
was
were mid conversation.
Yeah, I was just drunkenly talking Stan's ear off.
Stan.
His at the time like 85-year-old ear.
That was, by the way, that was a fun character for me to play. So thank you for that one.
You played
too.
Stan Lee.
I
That's
did play
right.
Stan Lee.
True believer.
Hey, Steve Ditko. This is young sleazy Stanley, and not sleazy necessarily, but back in the day,
Yeah. So Alex, we're here today to talk about G.I. Joe.
the best.
What's your relationship with G.I. Joe?
Dude, there's a story here. I mean,
Okay.
it's not really a big story, but like G.I. Joe was sort of like beyond my time, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an older guy. Like I'm 32, but
It's about 10 years past you then.
Yeah, and it wasn't like readily available, but I knew about G.I. Joe, and like again, it's like we don't have the on-demand stuff that we have now.
Right.
It was like we had our handful of channels, and that was it. So I was always like looking out for it because I knew about it. My brother would talk about it. We didn't have any of the we didn't have toys. Period.
Older brother.
Yeah, older brother, and like 6 years older. So like he was like prime for it, and so I always wanted to see an episode, and like I think I got to see like one in my childhood, but always wanted to see more because like it was always hyped up and people always talked about it. People still had the toys, and like parents would always talk about your G.I. Joe action. Like it was such a big deal. So I was, and like I mean it, like literally week by week, I was always, whenever I would turn on the TV, was like looking out to try and see if I could ever see an episode because you just couldn't.
Yeah. And were you ever successful? Like were you ever able to? Because there was a long time where they were like syndicated in like at like midnight.
That's the thing,
yeah. Like Toonami or something like that.
Yeah, it was like way later,
overnight. Yeah,
or like 2 a.m. No, I never like. It wasn't until I was like 12 that I caught like, and it was like the end of an episode. So it was like the last, like they'd already like been successful in whatever they were doing, and then it ends with the lesson, and then it was done. It was like, oh man, and then they didn't play another one after that.
Well, this actually breaks my heart because the episode we're watching today is not great.
Oh, but the bar is like not even off the ground for me.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
Okay,
but it's not great.
Okay,
it's not great.
Now I'm gonna ask. Maybe I'm getting ahead of the ball here, but is this first era or is this second? Is this Canadian era?
This is the Canadian era.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the DIC stuff. So this is, and that's what I mean by not great. So there's this level of quality. Now of the Canadian stuff, it's not the worst.
Okay.
I will say this.
Yeah.
But the stuff you're thinking about, the real good stuff.
Yeah.
I should have had on the show earlier.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the way it works with like everything. Like every show, every band, everything has like its prime era. Yeah. And like a lot of, I mean, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of stuff where it's like it's the earlier on stuff.
Yeah, and then you get every Rolling Stones album after Tattoo You.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Where it's like, you know, because for one thing, they're like playing for a meaning and they're not playing for money. And it's TV shows are a little bit different because you just bring in new writers and you bring in new creators. But
and a lot of and frankly, in this case, I think it's just about budget.
Oh yeah,
because there's nothing in here. There's nothing on all these DSC shows. Let me be very clear to listeners. Yeah. There's nothing about all these DSC shows that are intrinsically bad.
Yeah,
it's just you could see they just didn't put the money into it.
Yeah.
And the animation is slow and
they
poor.
Like reuse
and there's not enough set pieces. I mean, because for every set piece change, it's more money for backgrounds and more. It's just more effort involved.
Yeah.
And so they linger on scenes and it just doesn't have the kind of storytelling depth that the other ones did because of the budget.
Yeah, and just probably a different firm and less people.
Simple as that. It's not a choice of saying like this plot is any worse than the other plot, although sometimes you fall into that a little bit. Yeah. But it's really more about just how much time, energy, and devotion was put into it.
So have you noticed, like, and maybe we'll even notice in this episode, but have you noticed things where like they've just reused frame by frame stuff and like recolored it?
Not a ton on the G.I. Joe.
Okay.
Not a ton. Yeah. Sometimes you get that in like there were a couple episodes back. There were some group fights where you could see that there were characters in this fight that weren't on this episode.
Okay.
So they must have reused it from a previous episode. Okay. Like there were people running and you're like, that guy's not on this episode.
Okay.
Wow. But this show did, that's more of a He-Man thing.
Yeah, okay.
He-Man is famous for reusing.
I was in on that.
He-Man's great. Yeah. And that's famous for reusing the same footage from when he lights up the sword of Grayskull, and by magic sword, I'd say by the power of Grayskull. Yeah. That's always the same, literally the same animation, same 20 seconds of animation.
Yeah.
Him running across the same backgrounds, that's always the same animation. Like that's though they were, and that's Filmation. They were known for that because they wanted to keep the costs low and still here in America.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe was farmed out to Japan, the original, the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
So they were able. Yeah, it was costlier than the DSC stuff, but they were able to get a higher quality out of it.
Yeah,
they were
and that was a big thing those days.
Yeah,
and they still do it occasionally. But yeah, I know that was a big. I just went down an animation rabbit hole recently because
I
did my own animated cartoon, and I was like drawing like frame by frame stuff and doing all that.
Great.
So I was like learning all the tricks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's So this is
what happened with that? What's the?
I see, because that's the thing is I get dumb ideas and I just decide to do them, and they're just like really dumb random things that I do. So I have a series that I'm still doing right now. I've done one episode. There's going to be more, and there'll be less sporadic than Conspiracy Bunker. But it's and these are 1-minute episodes called Socially Awkward Bear.
Okay.
And it's just a bear living in a human world, and nobody notices it's a bear until like So the first episode is they come up to the bear who's reading on a park bench, and this old couple, and they're just like, they ask for directions to get to the subway, and the bear's like, And then when he starts talking, all people hear is a bear going, rah, rah! So he just stands up, and everybody just freaks out and like running over baby strollers and stuff like that. So, and then it just ends with the bear just being like, oh man. It's like super socially awkward bear.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because guess what's in this episode?
Oh, please tell me.
A bear that lives with humans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even kidding you.
This is perfect.
This is perfect. This is
my
great
gosh.
karma. There is a bear that lives with humans in this episode.
The universe is working.
This is
in
so
our
great.
favor.
Well, I'm excited. Today we're watching an episode called Cold Shoulder, and it takes place in the Arctic. There's a lot of these episodes that take place in the snow, and for that, I have a feeling it's, again, for budget purposes, because you just have a lot of white in the background.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of snow drifts. Like, you don't have to do the cityscapes. You don't have to deal with that kind of animation. It's just white.
Layer
like,
the
hey,
same
we're in the
structures
snow.
in a different...
Yeah, because there's multiple episodes of these where they're in the snow, and it's always like, why are... The previous one we just recorded was... there was no reason for it to take place. Like, literally, story-wise, it didn't make sense to be in the Arctic, but it had to be in the Arctic. I don't know why.
I know we gotta get to the episode, but even when you bring up stuff like that, just because I've been in writers' rooms where they bring in stuff like that, where it's like you've written an episode and it doesn't take place there, and it doesn't, and they're just like, can we make this fit into here and do that and bring that around, because basically what you wrote is something that has a normal budget, but now our budget is a third of that.
Yeah.
So if you can change everything and still keep this great story intact, that'd be great. So I can't even imagine what these writers at this point were having to deal with. Yeah. Which, by the way, did the writers change when they went
everything
Canadian?
changed. Everything.
Changed.
Yeah, everything.
And then the other thing,
voice actors, everything.
This is super deep, but the other thing I'm wondering is, was it at all with the same production company, or did somebody in Canada license it so that they could start producing it?
Well, they were actually a Beverly Hills based company that had Canada production. They were based out of I think it was Montreal or Quebec, I can't remember. Or wait, Montreal is in Quebec, right?
Yeah, but there's Quebec City.
Quebec City. Okay,
yeah.
So it's I believe it's out of there.
Okay.
They had an office in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
But the main production was up in Canada.
Okay.
And they actually DSC did a bunch of shows during the time. Like, I'm blanking on what they are, but you would know them. Like, if you, I'd be like, oh, they did this show and that show. And
I was about to say, was it Today's Special or any live action stuff?
No, animated stuff, because they worked cheap. You know, they did it fast. So they came in, and they lowballed a bunch of cartoons and said, we'll do it cheap, and they were non-union too, which is how they were able to do it. So that's why most of the voice actors didn't go over. A couple notable ones did. Cobra Commander. Yeah, the Baroness did for a little bit, and so did General Hawk.
Okay,
but like Destro is a different voice if he's even on the show. I don't think Destro's on this one. And then the rest of the Joes and everything is just literally a brand new cast of characters. Yeah, so they just cast all these Canadians, so they all speak with this like Canadian like lilt. You'll hear it. It's all
oh no,
Cobra's going up to a cabin.
Oh no,
yes, which is great for hockey.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm a big, huge hockey guy, so this would be great.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, I'm so ready for this.
So everyone listening out there, I want to say, go online, check out alexkendig.com. While you're online, check me out on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at JoeOnJoePod. And most importantly and most excitingly, go to Patreon. You know, Alex, this show is supported by one person. It's me. But not anymore, because we started a Patreon about a month ago, and now the show is supported by multiple people. So we've got some great patrons out there who've decided to help pitch in and keep this show afloat. And for that, what we do is I started a new podcast called Joe on Joe Illustrated. And if you're hearing this and you're a regular listener, you've heard episodes 1 and episode 5, and maybe by the time this airs, episode 10 might already be out, where I apply the same kind of in-depth episode by episode look into it on the comic books.
Oh.
So I do one whole episode on one issue of G.I. Joe, page by page breakdowns. And Alex, you know me.
Yeah.
Who knows more about comics?
I was about to say, this is like the perfect thing for you.
Nobody
else does.
Yeah, nobody. So for only $3 a month, you get at least 4 to 5 complete full hour-long podcasts about one issue of G.I. Joe in sequential order. So as of this writing, we just finished issue 8. So I think 10 might be out by the time this episode actually airs. And you guys, hopefully, I know my patrons have loved it. Like they've come up and said, wow, like you're really bringing insight, because no one has ever gone issue by issue. Yeah. And like page by page. And it's not a review show. That's what I love about it. Yeah. I'm breaking it down, like looking at the art styles and looking at the page layout and the flow of the story and creator backgrounds. We talk about those. We talk about other books that were on the shelves during that time, and that's all happening on Patreon/Joe on Joe Pod. So if you're listening and you enjoy what we do here at Joe on Joe, for $1 you can just help support the whole enterprise, and that's very appreciated. But for $3 a month, you get this extra Joe and Joe Illustrated. It's great.
Can I just real quick, with stuff like that, which by the way, like when you support what he's doing, like that, like what Joe is doing, like he's a real mensch, so you're supporting a great dude. But like when you're supporting stuff independently as opposed to relying on sponsors and things like that, you're getting the full deal and you're getting the real deal, and it does take a lot of work. So even if you're just chipping in a little bit here or there, like you're supporting somebody's artwork that's like they're doing it for you. And you're definitely enabling Joe to do this for you. So even if it's a little bit, you don't have to be a monthly subscriber. Just a little bit goes a long way and just supports this art form. You'll get more great stuff by just tossing in a little bit.
Oh, man, I appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you, listeners. So here we go. We're going to watch Cold Shoulder. Alex, are you ready?
I've been ready for so long.
Georgia, are you ready?
Woof.
Ruff, ruff. All right, here we go with G.I. Joe Cold Shoulder. Not the traditional soundtrack that you probably remember, right? You're used to more of the, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero.
Yeah. The thing that everybody quotes.
Yeah. This is I like to call this like the wrestling intro theme song.
Nice. Yeah.
Got to see, like you can see Hulk Hogan with the guitar right now, going like, G.I. Joe, like that. That gif of Hogan in front of the fireworks with the guitar. That's this.
Oh yeah.
It's everything it is.
Which is good too that they kind of separated. Mm-hmm. They made it two distinctions.
Yeah. And it's because the intros these are all the new characters. So
yeah,
and it makes sense that they would do this because these are the guys that were on the stands at the time. These were the toys that you would buy at Toys R Us.
Right.
The Flints and Lady J's of the world, and Stalker and Alpine. They weren't for sale anymore.
Yeah. Which I'm sorry, but that was the whole point of the show, right?
Yeah, to sell the toys.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Okay,
you're not wrong.
Well, I know that. I just don't want to offend anybody.
Oh no. So Cold Shoulder starts, and we're at Cape Canaveral, and it's the first joint October Guard G.I. Joe mission. Now, the October Guard, Alex, is the Russian counterpart to G.I. Joe.
Okay.
And they first debuted in the comics, I want to say it was like issue 6, and it was an awesome 2-part story. And then they showed up on the cartoon in the Sunbow stuff, and they're a fan favorite because they're crazy Russian stereotypes. Like crazy, like, oh, Boris, you the Joski.
Yeah.
And this guy, they only refer to him as Major by his last name, Major Alikov or whatever it is. But he actually was a Joe called Red Star.
Okay.
He his action figure came out, I think, the year after this debuted.
Yeah.
And they called him Red Star, and he was like a what do you call that? Sharing, two countries would share a soldier. Like,
I'm totally trying to think of the name of
you know
it.
what I mean?
I know
like
it. It's
a
right
sharing program, like where they'd say, "Hey, you go work with the Joe team because we're friends."
It's like a loan out.
Yeah, this
basically.
is right. The Cold War at this point was over.
Yeah.
So that's who this guy actually is, even though they only refer to him as Major, whatever his last name is.
Okay.
He actually is the Joe named Red Star. That guy is a Night Creeper. He is a Cobra Ninja, even though he looks like Cobra Prince backup band.
Yeah, but dude, he invented the wingsuit.
Yeah, pretty much. That is Naugahyde.
Okay.
GNAW Hyde, and he is the Cobra Poacher.
Okay.
Naugahyde.
Yeah.
He calls him G.I. Joey's.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. And so Cobra is see, it's in the snow.
See this, but this is the thing. Is like you have a long piece of dialogue. It's a longer transition, but you don't have to sync the mouth moving. It's just an exterior
and
shot.
Cobra Commander with that face mask,
Yeah.
which has always been the case.
Oh, yeah,
but it's
that's
great
perfect.
for animation.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
Sure,
saving
they
all
love
kinds
that.
of money on lip flaps. And here's your bear.
Oh my god. Oh, dude, that's a cub bear. Dude, you got to look out because that means there's like a mother bear nearby.
It's funny you say that because that comes into play.
Oh, great. Just waiting for this
Well,
office to
look
get
at it.
trashed.
Look at it. It's like it's wearing clothing.
That's, good because you don't want that bear to get cold
is.
while it's inside, even though it's a polar bear.
It is.
We got to look after it.
That's I believe that's Sub-Zero. He's the Joe's.
Yeah.
He's the new Polar Trooper. After, remember Snow Job?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
he's
it
like
was too offensive,
yeah.
so they had to rebrand it.
Funnily enough, honestly, it never dawned on me the snow job name was funny until we were doing this show with my wife.
Oh yeah,
and I said it. I referenced it, and she said, "What was it? What is his name?"
Same.
I said, "Snow job."
Snow job.
She goes, "Snow job," and I went, "Oh!" And I'm not no exaggeration there. 40 years.
Because I mean,
yeah, like because the file card said they called him Snow job because he pulled bluffs on people. Like he was a con artist. Mm-hmm. So at an early age, it burned into my head that because he's just I'm gonna snow job you. I'm gonna hustle you. I'm gonna get something out of you.
No.
Not
No.
I'm gonna do something terrible to you.
Or
really delightful.
Yeah. Good old Milton Berle action.
The snow job just pulls out enough to win. So here we go. The Star Smasher. We've got the satellite is about to launch. The Joe and the Cobra. The Joe is they said it Rampart. They're not in spacesuits.
Something to make my
because
don't need it.
That doesn't match what their action figure looks like. And also Rampart, his qualifications for being on a space mission, he is the what's the exact phrase? He's the forward, like shoreline defender is what they call him.
Okay.
So if someone's attacking the East Coast, he is the guy that sits on the wall and makes sure that the attackers can't like he defends the shore, like he defends the rampart. He's a rampart, like he's a defender. So what that qualifies him to fly a space shuttle? I don't know.
I don't think so.
You would think they'd use a pilot like Ace or Slipstream. Like, they have pilots on this iteration.
But that's the thing. All right. So, but it's Rampart, and like this is like basically the production company's based out of Quebec.
Yeah,
and they're really full of themselves. And like Ramparts is like a big thing in Quebec. They even have their own like junior league team called the Quebec Ramparts and everything. So when you're talking about he's sitting on top of a wall, Quebec City is the only city in North America that's surrounded by a wall.
Really?
And they defend the city and stuff like that's
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
So that doesn't surprise me that Rampart can do everything. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love that. That's great insight.
That's just not surprising at all.
That's so funny.
Yeah, the Rampart, he can do everything, and he comes in and he doesn't need a space suit in space. And when he poops, it does not smell.
And I'm going to have to abort the mission immediately.
I like that the space shuttle is like red and white. So it's like red for Russia and white for America. That's kind of cool. Like
the Canadian flag.
Hello.
Hello.
Wow, you're finding this is the hockey connection coming through.
Yeah, and you get was Snowjob's replacement. His
Sub-Zero.
outfit matches the Quebec flag.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy. Sergeant Slaughter.
Lowlight has a massive beard. That's not Lowlight. Lowlight does not have a massive beard, but they gave him one. The bear falls asleep in this car, in this vehicle. This
bear's going to be the R2-D2 of this.
This vehicle's called like the Avalanche or something.
No, I think I know somebody that had a similar toy. I don't think it was it didn't have the same color scheme, but it launched the foam discs out of the top. Yeah.
So the Joes go off in search of it, and you see this background. You see what I'm saying? Where in the snow, your animation is going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Because you're not having to do
anything.
Yeah. Plus, you also, frankly, need a soft spot to land a shuttle. Snow makes sense. If you land in a desert, it's more of an explosion.
Yeah.
More of a crash.
That's about the same, right?
Yeah,
It's like at that speed.
Those are the new second-generation snow serpents. Of course, Cobra has the money, funds, and everything to build giant bases inside of giant glaciers.
I would love to talk budget forever because I was wondering about what the budget is for G.I. Joe and how they hide it. Like how many hammers for Area 51?
I don't know, man.
40 grand.
The last episode, there was a magazine called Cobra Life, so they have a whole publishing arm. They have a retirement policy, Alex. They have vacation. They have vacation bases. So, like for R&R for the troopers, it's a fully functional Club Med kind of thing.
Yeah,
they're more well prepared than G.I. Joe.
Yeah, or
we've illustrated this on many episodes.
Or like Walmart.
Yeah,
they do it better.
Maybe Walmart might be Cobra.
Do you think there would be they would be on the Forbes list of best companies to work for, like Cobra's?
Well, it would be. Well, they would be like, we almost put them on except for the high rate of death.
Yeah,
and dismemberment. Well, and now granted, on the cartoon, everyone always had parachutes and you never really died.
Yeah,
but just the sheer physical risk that you're putting yourself in Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter just saved this bro's life, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And how he caught him with that hook that's underneath a spinning rotor without cutting the guy to ribbons first.
Yeah.
I will never know.
Well, and you know what else they just did here too is he got caught, but all we saw was him stopping in midair.
Yeah.
We don't see the hook come in and grab him because that would be too many more hours of animating.
Too
and
many
having
more,
to do
and
that.
logistically just impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Sergeant Slaughter is flying around with them, hanging onto his hook instead of just letting them like hide in the snow and not die.
No, he's got things to do.
Yeah. It's good to see a Sergeant Slaughter though.
The amount of chevrons on his hat changes depending on the shot too. He had one earlier. He's got promoted twice over.
He might get promotions. So Alex, you've been doing hockey play-by-play, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
How did you get started? I know I've always been a big hockey fan, but how did you get started doing the play-by-play?
When I was in high school, that's what I wanted to do because I knew I wanted to be a broadcaster, and then I fell in love with hockey, and I was like, I want to be a play-by-play guy. So I went to like college for it, and I was an associate producer with the NHL team and stuff
Really?
like that. Yeah,
Oh,
I
what
was
team?
with the Nashville Predators for a few years and doing stuff with that, and I was
That's
like,
why
that's
you're
what
such
I'm
a
going to
big
do.
yeah.
When
You're a
I
big Preds
graduated,
fan.
and I graduated right when the recession hit. There were no jobs to be had.
Well, the Joes are about to get eaten by what they call a snow shark. I looked up online.
Man.
I don't see any actual Joe toy based on the snow shark. We're going to go to commercial.
Today's file card features on the G.I. Joe Admiral, codenamed Keel-Haul. His file name is Everett P. Colby, and he commands the U.S.S. Flagg aircraft carrier. His primary military specialty is command. His secondary military specialty is as a pilot, and his birthplace is Charlottesville, Virginia. Keel-Haul graduated Annapolis and Navy Flight School, flew Phantom F-4s off the Intrepid in the late 1960s. He attended the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, and the Armed Forces Staff College. He's a holder of the Navy Cross, DFC, and Air Medal. Keel-Haul is a respected military historian, a nationally rated chess player, and possibly the world's worst clarinet player. Quote, Keel-Haul was always cool. He could set an F-4 down on a carrier deck at night with half his instruments out and walk away whistling. You know what it's like to land on a carrier at night? Try jumping on a moving skateboard while blindfolded. Keel-Haul is exciting. Based on the conversation that you have with almost any old school G.I. Joe collector, he's got to be the least owned character because he came with the U.S.S. Flagg. And any conversation starts with, I never had, but I always wanted the U.S.S. Flagg. I don't know. I never knew anything about Keel-Haul because I never ran into Keel-Haul. Now, they did release him in 1989. He came with a mail order set, special missions drivers, like with Ace, Thunder, Lamprey. So he was out there. And it sounds like they made a lot of this character because they weren't sure how many flags they were going to sell because he actually ended up as like prizes at Chuck E. Cheese pizza arcades in the early 90s. They had a lot, but I don't know anyone who had him organically, naturally, because he came with the flag. This is my first real good look at him, and he's amazing. His hat is crooked, so he's like, hey player. He's got this great mustache. His shirt collar is wide open with his dog tags. Since he's an admiral, he's got all the medals, which is really great. He looks like he's an admiral who's ready to punch you out. There's a lot of detail in this figure. He only came with a pistol, but that's because his other accessory was an aircraft carrier. Without a doubt, Admiral Keel-Haul, Everett P. Colby, we salute you.
And back from commercial, we've got the snow shark. This actually looks a lot, almost identical to a Masters of the Universe toy that I think the name was Land Shark. And it was a giant shark monster. And as you moved the tracks, the mouth went up and down, and it was for Masters of the Universe. It looked exactly like this toy, same color and everything, purple.
So
like
maybe that's why there was no toy for G.I. Joe because they couldn't. There was
like it was
get
just
the
too similar to
trademark or
this
the
Land Shark thing. Yeah,
licensing.
Yeah. So at the Cobra base, we see that.
There's a bear. There's
they
Mama
happen
Bear.
to have a caged polar bear. I wonder who that could be related to. So so in the downtime there was no hockey jobs to be had.
There was none to be, and also hockey professional teams. In spite of my experience, they don't want to hire anybody that's from Tennessee.
Yeah,
and has they want somebody from the north that's kind of or went to like a big time hockey school. I just couldn't get the work. But I ended up moving to Chicago. And somehow lucked into doing like the college nationals, doing play-by-play there.
You were doing it when you were in Chicago?
Yeah. So when I was in Chicago, I was doing like juniors. I did an International Ice Hockey Federation tournament. I did like low-tier minors, just filling in and doing stuff here or there. And I still wanted to do it, and I loved it, but I didn't get to do that much of it in Chicago. I still would apply to teams in the off-season trying to get a job and would never get one. And ended up moving to LA and was like, well, I guess the play-by-play thing's over. I was here maybe 2 weeks. This is the universe working again.
Yeah.
And I get a phone call from people I used to work with in Chicago. It's like, there's a guy out there that's looking for people. And so give him a call. I gave him a call, and I've been working. I do 3-4 games a week during the hockey season.
Wow.
Multiple leagues, junior A, high school. Like I get to do like the Kings League, so I get to go to like work at the Staples Center and stuff like that. And
That's fantastic.
yeah, it's so cool. I still love doing it.
So cool. And you're doing play-by-play, or are you doing
yeah,
like
I do
color?
play-by-play.
Yeah.
I will never do color or commentary. I just want to call the game.
Yeah.
I don't like to give my opinion. My opinions don't matter, but I love calling the games and like calling play-by-play.
Well, the play-by-play guys is what keeps the flow of the action.
Yeah.
That's what he's the spine of the broadcast.
Yeah.
The color guy comes in. Actually, that's how I've always referred to this show. I'm the play-by-play guy.
Yes,
and I want you guys to be color.
And
you know,
only not as knowledgeable as we're like.
Yeah,
color.
but
it's the same
but
thing.
You bring
like
your own color to every
you
episode.
sew the show together. I'm the buttons.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's really great. I love.
Yeah, it's such a great thing.
I just love seeing all the pictures you post.
Thanks,
and
man. Yeah,
everything.
I love doing it, and it's like something where I still during the off season, if there's a good team out there, I would love to call play-by-play for them.
Yeah, and have you ever have you made any like upwardly mobile connections? Or
kinda, but still, it's like when you get to higher levels, they still want somebody that's not from Tennessee and has the lifetime experience. But it's like
always
I'm
needs
good.
To be someone with a broken face.
I could call it. I could call those games for sure, and I love doing it. And I've also gotten to do the side gigs. I got to do the behind-the-scenes quest for the Stanley Cup show for Showtime. Like I got to like listen to the coaches' mics and make notes for the editors, and get shots.
You're 32.
Yeah,
you're so young.
Yeah,
you'll be doing it. You'll be doing it by the time you're 50.
Oh yeah,
and without any reservation.
Well, thank you.
If you keep wanting to do it, you'll be doing an actual NHL game. You'll be calling some NHL team by the time you're 50.
Well, and the thing is, I also feel like I'm going to be doing it no matter what. Like I love doing it.
Yeah.
And right now, I get to call games on like Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes Thursday nights, but I still get to work in writers' rooms and produce TV shows, which I love doing. I'm basically living the life that I thought I would have as a 5-year-old. Where it's like I'm going to be a karate master, got a TV writer, news reporter, person that gets to.
Well, you've got hustle. You've got hustle, Alex. That's what you've got. You've got. You're for me. You're aspirational in the hustle category, and you always have been.
Thank you.
When we first met you, you had so many irons and so many fires.
Yeah.
That like Goltz and I would always talk about you. We'd be like, hey, kid's hustling. He's just working. He's doing stuff. We'd be like, hey, do you have time to do the show? And we would always be surprised when you were like, yeah, I'll clear my schedule to work on your stupid little comic book show, because we knew that you were a hustler. And that's important. It's great. Because at the time you were working for an advertising agency. You were holding on a full-time job.
Those hours are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I mean, really what it comes down to, because people always be like, jack of all trades, master of none. You should just be like.
That's my story.
Yeah, and but the thing is like, just do what you want to do. And if you want to do multiple things, do it, but try and do it well. If you can't do it well, you'll have to figure it out, which I do okay. I'm not doing amazing on anything, but I just do what I want to do, and I try and do it the best I can. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you do it really well. One of my favorite stories that I'm going to actually ask you, because I've told it to people, but you're never in the room. So I want you to share with our listeners, if you will, if it's okay, maybe the Sears story. Sears Tower.
Oh yeah.
Just
No, you know what? I feel like I can now because that company's kind of been sold off.
Yeah. Tell the story.
So I was basically working.
This is amazing.
Working with a company, a very large retail company that was once associated with what is now the Willis Tower in downtown Chicago. It used to be called the Sears Tower.
We're gonna go to commercial real quick, and we'll be back with this story, which is fantastic.
Hey listeners, I'm not sure if you've heard the news, but Joe and Joe has started a Patreon, and I'm inviting you along for the ride. Go to patreon.com/JoeandJoePod and check out my page. Right now, there are 2 opportunities for you to help support the show. You can choose to be a grunt or a viper. Grunts get access to all the Joe and Joe episodes and early access to new episodes as they're created. Vipers get all that and access to my all-new spin-off podcast, Joe and Joe Illustrated, where I will be breaking down every single issue of the G.I. Joe comic books, page by page, in the deepest dive you'll ever hear on G.I. Joe. So go to patreon.com/JoeandJoePod and see what's happening over at the Fort Wadsworth Motor Pool. We'll see you there.
So, before we went to break, we were talking about how I used to work. One of my clients was a big retail company that was anchor store.
Rhymes with mirrors.
Yeah, and they have a lot of name brands and was doing stuff with the brands and
rhymes with batsman.
Yeah, Yeah, also goes by Sears. And so we were in this meeting, and we were trying to just tell them, how we wanted to do it. Just a specific internet video, right? Which we wanted to do. And they, and their 8 vice presidents are in there. They're very top-heavy, uptight company, and they're like, well, we kind of know. I forget the specific language that was used, and they were like, well, we kind of know what we're doing, and we kind of know how to be successful in that regard. And like, is that why it's called the Willis Tower now instead of the Sears Tower? And
how did that go over?
I still had my job for like another year and a half. It's crazy. It was crazy. That was a weird one because I was also maybe some random person out there stumbled across it. I was hosting demonstration videos for a while. They were supposed to be live to an audience, and we were supposed to have a live studio audience. We had neither. There was nobody watching live online. There was nobody in the studio. So I would just goof around and try and make the crew laugh.
Yeah.
And they were also making me wear a suit in a workshop and have a handheld mic, so I couldn't help them out, and I couldn't get involved because I had like loose-fitting clothes and like a black suit. It looked so out of place. So all I did was really just make fun of the situation.
Yeah.
And then a few months into it, they were like, YouTube just lifted their time restraints. We can put all these videos, all these streams that we've done online for people to watch. It was like, oh boy, that's not going to go over well. Yeah, that ended up being fun, but not doing that anymore.
But yeah, is that why it's called Willis Tower? Is one of the greatest off the cuff retorts I've ever had the pleasure of being told.
And it was one of those things. As I was saying it, it was like, oh no, I'm saying it. It was terrible. It was
well.
A bad
Listen,
idea.
And here you are on a G.I. Joe podcast. It brought you here today.
Yeah, and whatever. I mean, hey, we're living the dream, man.
We are living the
dream. We live in the show business capital of the
And
world, working with talented people.
We're so right. Right over, I can see the Hollywood sign on the way into your place.
Yeah, I'm like right around the corner from Paramount Studios.
It's so like where we live, you can't actually see it. So sometimes I forget that.
Yeah.
But when I drive over to this part of town, which is not terribly far, but it's like around the curve, that's when you can see the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
And it's inspirational. It
every
reminds
morning,
you,
I see my dog every morning. Yeah, and I'm like,
this is what you're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex, one of the things we like to do on the show is I like to ask my guests. Yeah. That polar
friendly bear.
Sub-Zero raised him.
Oh, okay.
And that's her cub. I think she's the mom.
Yeah.
That's her cub that was in the khakis that was
of
hanging
course.
out. Like,
it had to have been.
I feel
they
like
look related.
The adult would look at the kid and be like, who put you in this?
Yeah. What is this? No.
I like to ask my guests, if you could be a member of the G.I. Joe or Cobra team, what would you be? What would your specialty be? And what would your code name be? And it could be anything.
Okay.
It could be like Rebecca's the Cobra cleaning lady.
Yeah.
Someone was the recently we had our friend Jason Inman was the the guy who hands out all the supplies to the Joes. His name's
nice.
Uniform. Okay. So everything would be uniform and everything. So he's
but
like
you can make
quartermaster is what he was.
You make it. Oh yeah.
Make it up entirely. So someone's like the chef. You could be the chef in the you could be whatever. And we like to personalize it. So something in your personality.
Oh,
if you could apply your personality into a G.I. Joe or Cobra, you'd be a bad guy.
Yeah.
All
right.
Special assistant to the Cobra Commander. We've had the CE Joe. He's the CEO of the Joes. Make sure all the money's right.
Oh,
we've had everything. Yeah, CE Joe. So yeah. So think about that. If you want a couple minutes, we can.
No, I'm good. I'm good to go right now. Yeah.
What do you got?
I may be familiar with this podcast
like
and have it locked and loaded. RC would be my name.
RC, okay.
And I'd basically be bringing in the new era of military stuff. And I would just have remote control everything and computerized everything and would just be building up all this stuff. Almost like Q in James Bond.
Okay.
Is it Q? Yeah.
Yeah, Q, yeah.
Yeah, but just like having like unmanned aerial vehicles and things like that, so I can get an overhead view. And so like I would like fly a drone above the area they're working and just give them the play-by-play of what's going on.
So you're the guy who doesn't want to be on the front lines.
No.
You just want to.
I'm on the front lines.
And you're on the front, but you're worried about people's lives.
Yes.
So you want to make everything remote.
Yes.
To take the physical danger out of it.
Yes. So I can enable the quartermaster when it's like they need to run supplies out there. Yeah. You just throw it in a little thing that I've got, and then it'll fly out there and drop it off. But I love like making and inventing new little things with a purpose. So I would come up with my own electronics. And
you got your start in the civilian sector, perfecting the drones for Amazon that drop everything off. And you're like, let's apply this to the war against Cobra.
Pretty much.
I love it.
But the thing is they were getting so advanced that they didn't realize that I was patenting all the technology that I was building because I didn't want corporate to have that type of power.
Right.
So I took it to the military sector.
And you
with
wanted the
G.I. Joes.
military to have that kind of power.
Absolutely. I trust the government over corporations any day of the week.
So this is great. One, the Joes are launching the space shuttle like an airplane, which is
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah.
And two, they just left Cobra Commander Naugahyde, one, possibly to die. And two, like they didn't even try to arrest him. They just said, "We're taking off. You guys,
Big enough to be
you
on
guys
its own
hang out
now,
here."
But you watch out for
They've got to go release the bears back into the wild. That's
The
it's
bear
more-
is still in its clothes.
Dude, you don't want the bear to get cold, man.
Yeah, but it's a bear.
Look, that's not
Look at
really.
the bear. Look at the bear's running
It's-
off into the distance, still in its khakis.
It's custom fit for a bear. You can't just drop it off at Goodwill and have some kid fit in there.
Sadly, they're going to find that bear dead.
Oh, yeah.
Strangled to death because the clothing was too well made by the
Oh, and it's just
by
gonna-
the Joe Quartermaster, our guy uniform.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The
he made
buttons
the
aren't gonna
clothing
snap.
too good that the bear will not be able to rip through it. That's what will have happened to that bear.
Did you know? But the bear's uniform kind of matched like third world country dictator regime fatigues.
It totally did.
Like you're gonna find that bear like somewhere in some weird African republic, like on TV. Like this is not a coup, but that's what it thinks it's saying. But it's really like
General Buck Naked and his General Buck Naked and his sergeant talking khaki bear.
You know what? This is a good place to bring this up. Kind of off topic, but on topic. Because you got the bear wearing the uniform and everything like that. Have you noticed they taught a gorilla sign language so that I could communicate with people? But then they've decided to not teach any more gorillas or animals how to talk with humans.
Right.
Like, what are they afraid of?
It's a good question. I think they're afraid of conveying the eternal sadness. You recognize that DIC logo,
Oh, I
right?
remember that deep
Yeah.
thing so bad. That brings me back.
I think they learned that there's an eternal sadness involved with being an animal in captivity, and they don't want to know that any more than they do.
Yeah, that's a deep
Like, for
dude.
real.
That's why I don't like going to zoos. The last one
Yeah.
I went to was San Diego Zoo, and there was a gorilla in a corner. They had the wall painted like I don't know, like the Kenyan Sierra or whatever.
Wakanda.
It's not the Sierra.
Wakanda.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Then just looking at the walls, just like looking so sad.
Yeah.
And it's like I hate it.
It is sad. I there's a big part of me that recognizes the importance of that of a zoo because it does bring elements of the world to people in places that would never have seen. You'd never be able to, you'd never be able to see that gorilla if
Right.
not for that.
Yeah.
But then you get moments like that and it's just like oh.
But that's the thing. Like what's great about this episode is like if you militarize animals and like give them some training, they have like a purpose, man.
Yeah.
They can like get out and they'll feel like fulfilled.
Like dogs,
Yeah.
military dogs.
Oh,
They're
dude, they love
they're considered like actual members. They're ranked and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you were a civilian were to like hurt that dog, you would be tried as if you hurt a regular soldier.
As you should be.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, they're bred for that.
Yeah.
You know?
There was that movie. That movie last year.
Crossbreeding bears.
We should
For like a purpose.
A bear.
You know.
A bear, a military bear.
Or even just like any other, because like they have dogs for all different types of purposes. Like you can have like a bear chef.
Okay.
You know,
I'm in.
anything.
I'm in.
Anything.
I'm
just
in.
saying, it's possible.
It's possible. It's just don't teach us sign language because I don't want to hear about its eternal sadness.
No,
That's the thing.
maybe it's not. Maybe it's an optimist. Maybe there's something.
Maybe like finally I can express myself. Here's a poem that I wrote
Yeah.
years ago, but it was just in my head.
Yeah, or just
Here
it
you
has
go.
like motivation.
Get ready to read my poem
Oh
sign.
my gosh, a Tony Robbins that's just a bear. You know,
Well, Alex, your first real episode of G.I. Joe.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like I legit like I know we like talked about other stuff. I was
Yeah,
watching
that's
it and
the
listening
point
the
of the
whole
show,
time,
yeah.
but like, yeah, I feel like I was deprived.
Yeah.
Like
this is the kind
for
of thing
real.
you would have been into.
Yeah, and I mean they were great cartoons. I mean I was into like adult shows when I was a kid. Like I'm a big, as you can tell from my Wi-Fi, I'm a
Retro
big MacGyver
Diaries.
fan. How did you know? All of it. Yeah. I was a huge because it's right in my genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved MacGyver. when I was a
yeah,
kid.
of
And
course.
actually, on the Quest for the Stanley Cup show, the executive producer of that show who I worked with was an executive producer on MacGyver.
Really?
So we got to talk about
That's really
that
neat.
stuff. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that being out here.
Yeah.
Is when I meet someone who worked on a show back in the day that I
Yeah.
love, and there's maybe they're not like a celebrity.
No.
But you're like,
No.
oh wait, you worked on this show? Like, oh wait, you were a PA on Mr. Show?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah.
You know, and then just like you get into it, and they're just like, yeah, it was great. It was brr, 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 brr.
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, I also like the part too when you meet people that have worked on stuff that you love, and really, and I mean, I hate to really like bust the illusion for a lot of people, but like for a lot of them, it's like it was a job, and I think that's like way cooler of a thing where it's just like, yeah, you know, we showed up, we went, you know, we had to work like a PA on Mr. Show was like, what was that like? I was like, well, you know,
they lunch a lot. And,
yeah, they
got yelled
drank
at
a lot of
and-
waters
yeah.
and I had to keep restocking the coolers with water. Yeah, it's like a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like
It's fascinating.
It's so cool. Like around the corner, everywhere here is like just creators and cool people that have done a bunch of cool stuff. And really, when it comes down to it, they were doing it for you folks out there.
They really were.
Like they really do think about you constantly. And that was an era when they really cared about what people would like and everything. They weren't looking at algorithms. They weren't looking at like metrics and things like that. It was either focus group and just trying to make something good.
Yeah.
And like this is one of the, like G.I. Joe is like definitely like one of those eras where it's like they were really trying to capture your imagination. Even if it wasn't to inspire you to want toys, it's like they were after your imagination and they were trying to inspire you. And I think that's so cool. And even just
I love
watching
it.
this, it was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
I love that. That's kind of optimism that's going to keep me rolling through these Canadians.
Keep-
It really is.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. I love it.
Look, you have to appreciate every era for its own thing.
Yep.
You got to think there was at least one person that was trying to make that the best work they've ever created.
You are absolutely right. Alex Kendig, thank you so much for being on Joe. Everyone listening, go to alexkendig.com. Follow him at Alex Kendig on social media. He's very funny. Be tuned. Keep your ears out. Keep your eyes open for another episode of The Conspiracy Bunker. It's really, really a fun, very, very well produced, very entertaining podcast. Alex, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Now you, Joe, and Joey is half the battle.